and welcome again to another episode of Key TV. I'm Karen Reeves-Toppin, the founder of Key Inspirations and the host for today's show. I'm really pleased to be able to bring you another episode because it gives you another opportunity to see what's happening in your neighborhood, in your area, or maybe how you can make another collaboration to help your business succeed. And this is what Key Inspirations is here for. Key TV is a platform where entrepreneurs, small business owners, charity managers, and others who may have a project ongoing can come on for free and talk about what it is that you're doing, the help that you may need in order to be successful, and where you want to position what it is that you're doing in the community. So if you have a project that you're working on and you want to get it out to a wider audience, why don't you drop me an email? It's a new email address. Yay! So the new email address is info@key, K-I, inspirations.co.uk. So that's info@keyinspirations.co.uk. You'll see it coming across the bottom of the screen. Drop me an email there if you would like to have a say on Key TV and let others know what you're doing, where you are, and how they can come connect with you and support your small business. Today's show is going to be based on an organization in the south of London, in Lewisham to be exact. And we're talking to an organization that is helping young people to reach and achieve their fullest potential. So the founder of this organization has worked for the NHS Trust for 19 years, just before becoming the founder of JUT. And you're going to hear what JUT means in just a minute. JUT provides mentoring to young people from ages 11 through to 25. That's quite a wide range, isn't it? That's really good. But it focuses predominantly on young people from the Black, Asian, and minority ethnic community. Their vision is to encourage and empower young people to reach their potential through mentoring, through training, and through various development workshops. Now, in COVID-19, in 2020, JUT teamed up with members of the Lewisham BME network to provide food and support to the BAME community in Lewisham. That's an amazing thing to do because we know that in 2020, when so many people weren't working and they had to stay home, there was quite a bit of suffering going on. So well done to JUT for that. Now, the founder of JUT is also a wife, a mother to 3, and outside of the office, she volunteers in the children's department at her church. She loves jogging, she loves singing, she loves songwriting, and she loves watching movies and traveling. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome to Key TV, Mrs. Mottie Omideyi to the show. Welcome, Mottie.
Thank you so much for that. Nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm really happy to have you, Mottie, and I'm looking forward to this conversation today because I recently have developed an interest, a firmer and even more firm interest rather in youth works and community efforts. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you today. So you've been in an NHS trust for 19 years before you actually formed JUT. Tell us what is JUT and what were the skills that you brought from the NHS trust or the reason why you came out of the NHS trust to form JUT?
Well, firstly, JUT stands for Joined Up Thinking. And that's an acronym that so many people use, which simply means, connecting the way that we think, the thought process, and encouraging each other. So that's how we use it to support in terms of support. So a mentor to support a young person, join up the thinking, and also collaborating with other organisations. So in the NHS, the skills that I brought, wow. It's funny that because at the time, I didn't realise the different skills that I was using, all the work that I was doing at the time, I didn't realize that it would come in handy to run an organization, not just mentoring, because to my fellow business owners and, you know, creative people, it takes a lot to start an organization, and a lot of skills, a lot of things that you thought that you would never do, that other people in different departments used to do. If you've worked in a corporate organization, you're the one who's doing most of it. So the skills that I brought, I mean, I started off in the NHS in finance, and that was by accident. And so I continued, you know, dutifully, and I learned things like working on spreadsheets and database and, you know, invoicing and all that. And those skills came in handy running this.
They would, when you're running a business or an organization or anything like that. Finance skills always come in handy.
Absolutely, absolutely. You need to know what's coming in, what you've got left or not got left. So it all comes in handy. And then I moved to the HR department, and not HR as in, you know, the HR recruitment, or I was in a niche department. So I set up things. I set up programs for staff. So I was looking after the employees, and also saw the things that we could do better for BAME people in the NHS. And that's where my, you know, desire to focus on BAME, you know, people was born, or developed. I wouldn't say really was born, but, you know, developed. And I just realized that there's so many things that as a BAME person, things just don't go according to how we would like it. We're at a disadvantage. I hate to say it, but it's almost from birth, you know. We have to, in this society, we have to struggle for one thing, and we have to prove ourselves. And it didn't stop, you know, coming out of the NHS. And yeah, so I learned so many skills, especially, you know, my HR colleagues, a lot of skills with, you know, employment and recruitment, even though I wasn't specific to those departments, but I did pick up so many skills and transferred. So what happened was I got made redundant. And at the time, it was painful, it was hurtful, it was almost like the end of the world, but I actually knew that it was a step on to doing something else. So I was, you know, for ages, I had mentoring on my mind, or helping young people in a way. It wasn't necessarily mentoring from the onset, but helping young people to develop and grow. And my reason all the time, you know, when God puts that push, when you feel that push, or you hear the Holy Spirit, and you just, you know, push, well, you go on, do something, and you're like, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources, oh, and all this and all that, and excuse after excuse after excuse, year after year after year, and the redundancy came. And I remember speaking to my friend at the time, and she was, you know, an open ear to me constantly on how it felt and the pressure, and it just looked like the end of the world. But actually, I also knew, as hurtful as it was, that it was God created moment, a God created, you know, opportunity to come and step out and do something else. I needed that push. No excuses.
So the redundancy for you was God's push, God's way of pushing you out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I knew then and then that I wasn't going to seek another opportunity, that job, basically. I wasn't going to go from there to another employer. I was going to do something. I had to do something. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and JUT. In fact, even before I was made redundant, I had already started working on the plans and the vision, and mapping out how I saw it in my mind. Mm-hmm. I had spent a few years doing that. So when I say that I needed the push and I was full of excuses, believe me, I was.
So if you were to put a figure on the amount of years, so you were made redundant what year, if I could ask?
2015.
Okay, so you were made, it seems like a lot of redundancies happened in 2015, because I was made redundant in 2015 as well.
Oh, wow.
Seems like a lot of redundancies happened in 2015. So in 2015, you were made redundant. So but if you were to put a number of years onto how long you were hearing the call or feeling the push to do something, about how many years would you say that you were ignoring this call?
Ooh, nobody has ever asked me that, and I don't think I've actually thought of it, because when you put it like that, it seems like I was a naughty girl for a long time. Woo! Let me see, how many years was I stubborn? Probably about 3, 4 years. I didn't think it was that long until I came across some archives. I'll call it my archives. You know, the writings, the plans, etc., on paper. So not even on the computer. I remember doing a lot of things on the computer, but when I found things on paper, I was like, whoa, wow. So yeah, 3 or 4 years.
Oh wow. It's interesting that it would take 3 to 4 years and then it would take something as catastrophic as being made redundant before we can actually sit down and realize, oh, wait a second, maybe this is something I was supposed to do for a while. Because you sit down and you look back at all of the things and notes, like you said, you had your archives, and from way back then, you were beginning to structure what this was going to look like, who it was going to focus on, who you were going to target, where you were going to be. And that was 3 to 4 years beforehand. So can you take me through the mind process? Now, this is not just for you. We're going to get on to talking about what joined up thinking does in a minute and some of the achievements that you've had. But I want this particular part of the conversation, just these next 2 to 3 minutes, to encourage someone who is sitting there and saying, I actually need this job for the security of the finances, and I can't step out to do what I feel God has been calling me to do. I want you to tell us a little bit about the thought process that you were going through in those 3 to 4 years and the reasons why you didn't step out, and then look back and see why now they don't make sense.
That's a really good question. And two things: no time, because I live in Kent and I worked in London. And it took me, at the time I was traveling by coach. So that was often a 5:30, 5:40 start in the morning to catch my coach and to get there for about 8. So that was a 3-hour trip during the day. I think it was, probably, 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours there and back. And so by the time I came home, I was exhausted. So no time. And my weekends, it was literally to wind down. So that was my thing. Lord, I just don't have time. I just don't have time. The second thing, you mentioned it, and that was lack of funds. I kept thinking that I need a huge sum to be able to start a business. And because I looked at it in that way. So to be able to help people start a business, both came because they are slightly, because we are servants, and we are called to serve, and we're called to help. That by serving, we're helping others. So if you look at it that way, the argument is that you don't necessarily need, that fund to just help, help one person and the next person, etc. But I was looking at it in terms of business and thinking, so my mindset was already, all the things that I've learned, research and all that, was start a business, and you need money to make money. Okay. And I realize now that that was the wrong concept. But I also know that grace, I had so much grace, and God just humored me, just thought, okay. So I'll give you. So NHS redundancy was all right at the time. It was all right. So it was enough for me to start. Do you see what I mean? And enough for me to now wake up and think, no more excuses. You've got to do it. You've got to walk on this water, baby. You've got to walk. You've got to walk. And I did. And since then, it's been okay. So when they said you need money, they weren't talking about it's simple, redundancy money. They're talking about a big, huge amount of money. And if you don't have that, then what are you relying on? What are you going to now stop? What are you relying on? And it's been, okay, yes, Lord, I know I need to rely on you. It's you. You are our source. You are my source. So anything I need, human resources, financial resources, it's from you, Lord. So you want me to continue with this and help people? Okay, Lord, you provide. You provide. So yeah, so anybody, I would say that to anybody now who's thinking of doing that, or even who's made that step, that first step, who's taken that first step, just look to God, because God has a way of surprising you. He has a way of opening a door. And also, I would also emphatically state that it's not always the door that you think would be open.
That's right.
The way, you know, just and what we have to do is trust. So even when it doesn't look like it's working, even when it looks like things are, you know, falling apart, there's been, oh my gosh, you know what, this is going to be the last straw. God always just, he says, no, it's the last straw when I say it's the last straw. So continue. So yeah.
Wow.
Faith.
That's a really, really encouraging way to end that segment. And God says it's the last straw. It's not the last straw until God says it's the last straw. That is an amazing way to end it. And it's so true. Very, very true. God is our source. There's something that we say at the church I go to. It's God is our source and God is our resource. So in other words, God is everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so you started Joined Up Thinking in 2019, is that right?
No, 2016. So
Okay. So not too long after being made redundant, you started Joined Up Thinking.
yes, not too.
Okay.
Little break from work and then, yeah.
And then you started. All right. So tell us about Joined Up Thinking. Who's your target? What do you do? Some of the activities?
So Joined Up Thinking is a youth mentoring organisation. So that's our predominant work, youth mentoring. So we have quite a few volunteers on our team. We go and help young people in the community from age 11 to 25. And you did say that it is a gap, but we think that secondary school age children need so much help. But then there's also help needed when young people come out of secondary school, when they go to university, if they go to university, and when they return, while they're in university, and when they return. Oh my goodness, I've realized this even more. So I was so thankful that we didn't cut off the age at 18 or something like that. So yeah, so we help young people. And what we also do is some of the young people that we help now are able to help others in different ways. They feel confident enough. So one of the ways that we or one of the reasons why we help young people is to empower them and help them to develop their self-confidence. It seems like something so minor for my generation. When you talk about self-confident, and if you ever go to your parents, if you're Nigerian like me, you ever go to your parents and say, "Mommy, myself, I'm not confident." What? Come along, get up and go in the power of God, something like that. They'll say, and really want to actually look at thinking, what is this child talking about? Oh yeah, let's pray, like that. But actually, young people, especially in this generation, it's totally different. They are being raised in a totally different era, totally different generation, culture, everything than how we were brought up. So they have a lot to compare themselves by. And in that doing, they just have to get out of bed. In fact, not even get out of bed, just open their eyes, pick up the phone, and competition's there, for everything. There's so many battles and so many experiences that they go through. So their self-confidence, needless to say, a lot of young people don't have a lot of confidence, or they have self-confidence for different things. So that's one of the areas that we really focus on. And we don't just do that through mentoring, but by the projects and workshops and training programs. We try to support young people in various ways, and we use mostly volunteers. So wonderful people in the community in Kent and in London help us by giving their time to support others.
This is great. This is really great. Do you ever have a shortage of volunteers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you could always do with more.
Right now, so we need volunteers.
You need volunteers right now.
Volunteers, yes.
Okay. So what areas do you operate in at the moment?
So we are based in Kent, and we run some projects in Kent, but a lot of our mentors come from Southeast London. So in boroughs like predominantly Lewisham, and then we support young people from Greenwich and Southwark as well. So if you live in those areas, in fact, you don't actually have to live in those areas to support a young person. If COVID has taught us anything at all, is that Zoom is there.
Yep.
There and so many other opportunities to support a young person remotely, face to face still, but obviously not in person. But yeah, we support. We converted last year to online support, and it worked quite well.
Great, absolutely great. So are you still doing both? Are you still doing in-person and online support?
Yes, a hybrid. That's the official term.
Oh, this is great. All right. So what sorts of activities would you do with like 11-year-olds, and how do you source your service users?
We predominantly source our service users online, social media.
Okay.
Yes, young people are prominent on social media. But also there are other means. I mean, we use our network as well. So for youth clubs, youth centres, schools, parents, the word of mouth, that's quite a strong point. What we do with 11-year-old, 11, 12, 13, I would imagine. Programs that suit them. We've held singing workshops, music workshops, DJ workshops to support those younger people from the younger spectrum age. What else? We have held competitions. What we're currently doing is we are running a series of programs for workshops. We've just finished one about a few weeks ago called Words and Beats, and that was like music production. Basically, it's just encouraging young people to voice out their issues or things that have caught their attention in society, and just help them to speak out and just empower them to just be a bit more vocal and build up self-confidence again. And now we are still using that same theme and running another workshop called Speak Up, and that's teaching them how to create podcasts. So again, using their voice to be effective in their communities and to also help them themselves, when the more they speak out, the more they know that actually they have a lot to say and it's powerful. What they say is powerful. Their thoughts, their ideas, their concepts are actually quite powerful. So, yeah.
Very, very true. Because when we were growing up, we weren't able to do that. We couldn't have an opinion. Well, we could, as long as no adult heard it. We could have an opinion, but it wasn't worth anything. And it's interesting to know now that there are a lot of children that have access, especially in the community that you are targeting, the BAME community, that there is somewhere that they can go. Because like you said, when we were growing up, we grew up under very, very strict and stringent rules. You were to aim for certain levels of jobs, and then, you had to get your education. And when you finished your higher level education, you were to come out and you were to go and find a government job so that you would have that level of security. And there was no scope for doing anything. There was no scope for entrepreneurship. There was no scope for artistic or creative development. There was very little scope for actually becoming a speaker and speaking up, or voicing an opinion or forming that kind of thought. And it's really great to know that you have this organization which is out there helping 11s to 25-year-olds. But you mentioned before that those that come out of university, they also need help. What sort of help are you able to offer to those who are coming out of university?
Well, to answer that question, can I go back a bit to those? So going into university is another thing. It's another a new world for them, right?
Yeah.
When they're in university itself, the pressure is phenomenal. And it's made me realize, both as a mother of uni students and people who, my two have just finished university actually, and as a mentor and as the founder of JUT, it's the pressure is a lot more than more than I thought, because there's so many variables in university, and especially during COVID, the mental pressure was humongous. It was just, and for anyone who graduated last year or this year, I kudos to them, because it was an enormous feat for just to graduate, just to survive and to finish, honestly, let alone to flourish. So what you want to do, where they should they continue their studies, should they do a master's, what course or job they want to go for, what they're going to do with their life. Sometimes the reason young people have gone into university has been because of expectations. So either parental expectations from the school, or what I'm finding is even their own expectations that is the thing to do. So especially within our BAME community, it's like it's expected, especially if you're, yes, if your parents have, were university students themselves, but also if you're the first to go to university, but even that the pressure is not, reduced. It's like, yes, so now we're here in this country, and you too, you go, you need to represent. Do you see what I mean? So the pressure is there, and sometimes they can come out and think, well, what next? Really, what I studied, I don't really want to go and work in that field, how should I go about it? So they still need that support. And I think mentally, the pressure of studying and adulting has got to quite a few of them, like thinking, wow, this life, this adult life is hard. Can I get a refund?
Can I get a refund?
Me, some people literally, I've heard that. If you just get a refund, and it's like, what do I do? What do I do next? Help. I've got pressure here and pressure there. I need to make money. There's not much money at home. I need to contribute, but I don't know, and it's hard getting a job because there's so many people coming out with a 2-1 first, and there's a lot of competition. And again, on social media, there's a lot of pressure from young people because people come out, they celebrate. Some people have managed to get great opportunities, either through apprentice, not apprenticeship. What's the when you come out, you get placements, and they're celebrating. And some haven't been able to. So the stress is, oh my gosh, how is everybody managing to do this and I'm not? Just what I mean. So mentally, some of the young people are like, I don't even know what's going on. I just want to crawl under bed or my bed, and this job, I just can't get the job that I want, or I can't get a job. I'm having interviews but not getting a job. So yeah, so we try to support even in that, and encourage and just try to help them to understand that sometimes things do take time. Mm-hmm. Not everybody that celebrates, it can seem like you open Twitter and everybody on your timeline seems to have gone to university, got the first and the job and the house and the car and have 2 kids as well. Life really doesn't work quite like that for everybody. So it's okay if it takes time. It's okay. even in supporting parents to understand that it's okay if your child just wants to pause and just mentally just stress before they find out, okay, what's my next move? I just don't know. Do you see what I mean? So this, the support is varied.
Okay, so you all help people all the way from supporting them with maintaining good mental health to not falling into a state of depression, to perhaps having a look at developing alternative skills for something else in life, discovering what their passion really is, and perhaps following after that. Now, okay, especially for that last one, discovering what your passion really is and perhaps following up after that. As you've said, in the BAME community, there is this pressure, serious pressure. I mean, a lot of people don't think that it exists, but it does. There is this pressure to be in a certain level of occupation. You have to get skills to do doctor, lawyer, psychologist, engineer, but something to do with the sciences. Mathematician, even if to become a teacher is okay, but not necessarily preferred. How do you deal with parents who now have, okay, so the child has gone off to university, they've gotten their engineering degree, they can afford to go off to MIT in the US and get another degree, and the parents are saying, we think you should go, and the child really is they just want to paint. They just, they just want to become an artist because that's their passion, and they believe that they have a way of being successful at doing it. How do you help them to manage with that? Do you ever have what would that be called? Do you ever have like parent meetings with the individual and their parents to help to broker or to chart that path or anything like that? Do you ever do anything like that?
We do so on a one-to-one, on an individual as needed basis. We don't tend to offer that as standard to mentee and parents. So it depends on the circumstances. If the mentee wants us to, our usual method is to work with the mentee to express their desire to their parents. Okay, so help them to be empowered to speak out, to speak their mind, and to be forthright and to go for what they want. And in doing so, we're helping them to build up that self-confidence and to actually believe that their choice matters. So it's not saying, well, we want you to be defined to go against your parents' wishes. No, it's not that. It's really what they've got inside. So if it warrants, though, that a parent comes also, or the young person says, okay, can you speak to, my parent, then yes, we will. So on a few times I've done that, not necessarily as JUT, but individually, because I see young people as well, just personally, privately. So yeah, so helping young parents to understand that it's not a dishonor. It's not they're not doing it deliberately against the parents, or just to be dramatic or to get attention or to whatever reason, or to because they're failing. It's not a failure from the young person if they don't want to go and get that further degree at MIT and XYZ. Because often really what it boils down to, and I'm perhaps many parents may disagree, but I think somewhere within as a parent, it's part of our status, our acclamation to the fame, living either something that we've not been able to achieve through our child. That's really what it is, and also our bragging rights. So even with myself, I think years ago, that's kind of a bragging right. Yeah, why really do I need them to? Yeah, is it a need? Is it that who am I putting first? Just what I mean. So a lot of times it's we're really honest with ourselves as parents. It's once we let that go and think, and also that we understand we have faith enough in God, and actually that our young people are intelligent enough and wise enough to know their own positions, and to know that they can make it without being an MIT graduate or a Harvard, Oxbridge. They can actually succeed. And also reframing what success looks like in our mind, then I think, it's easier to accept that and support. As a parent, it's easier to provide that support to our young person.
Yes, that's a very brilliant answer to that. We recently had a Praying Mothers Summit at our church. And one of the things that came out was that our children, those of us that believe in God, our children are really instruments that the Lord has given to us to shape and mold for Him. And as you said just now, a lot of the things that we project onto our children are things that will give us bragging rights. Now, anything that parents ask their children to go and do or push their children to do, obviously they know that they have the ability to do it. But how much damage are you doing while you are pushing that child? How much mental damage, how much emotional damage are you doing when you're pushing that child into this area? And ultimately, is it where God is telling you to push the child? Have you stopped to ask the question, Lord, is this where they should go? What about this beatboxing thing that they say they want to do? What about this music thing they say they want to do? I can't see any future in it, but is that where they're supposed to go? Have you stopped to ask those questions? And I think, a lot of us do need to take a step back and ask those sorts of questions before we start pushing to do certain things in certain areas. But you're doing an excellent job in Lewisham. And so you say that you're in Lewisham and you're also in Kent. What areas in Kent do you service at the moment?
So we service Medway, well, Swale particularly in Kent. So Sittingbourne, in Faversham, in Gillingham, those areas.
Now, where is JUT going to position itself for the next 3-5 years? What are the plans for expanding or developing it?
Obviously, we want to expand. We want to be able to grow the number of volunteers. And in so doing, we want to be able to, that will help us to reach so many more young people out there. We want to have a base, because currently at the moment we work remotely and we hire venues, etc. But that would be a really great thing, God willing, that we have a base where young people can actually come in and just use the facilities there. That's really what we want to do. And in order to do that, we're just relying on our source and our resource.
You're relying on your source and your resource, which is great. So that's God. You're relying on God. How do people then get in touch with you? So someone has listened to today's show, they've watched today's show, they like what they hear, they want to get involved. How do they get involved? How do they get in touch with you?
If you look at our social media, that's one way. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our social media handles is JUT Mentoring. Okay, so you can reach us there. You can also contact us by our website. We have a contact page on our website, which is www.joinedupthinkinguk.com.
Okay,
or email us at info@joinedupthinkinguk.com.
All right. Are you open to someone contacting you and saying, I live in Nottingham, sure, I watched the show or I heard about you and I'd like to connect with you to start a Joined Up Thinking up here. Are you open to collaborations like that?
We're open to somebody saying, look, can we run a mentoring provision? So often if people come to us and say, can you help us to create a mentoring program, in some way, shape or form, and we can go there, help train staff or volunteers or their church community to do that on their end. So yeah, in that way, we're definitely open, and definitely open for, even if they want to do something virtually, and help to volunteer virtually, the young people that perhaps it's been heightened if they're real introverts. So the pandemic has heightened their introvert nature, and that don't like coming out, so they prefer just online mentoring. So that can help, that can work as well. So yeah, we're open to collaboration, definitely.
Great, amazing. That is fabulous and very, very good news. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have heard it. Joined Up Thinking is open to collaborations. Get in touch with Mottie on any of the connecting links that you can see. They will come up at the end of the show, and they will also be pinned in the comments underneath this particular episode. Just click on the link, get in touch with Mottie. Just talk and tell her what it is that you'd like to do, whether you would want to become a service user or you want to become a volunteer to help. Joined Up Thinking is looking for you to come and be a part of what they are doing. So, Mottie, now we've gotten to the fun part of the show where we get to the curveball question. Now, today's curveball question is going to be, I'm going to take a look at what you've said that you like to do as your hobbies. So for your hobbies, you've said you are a volunteer in the children's department at your church. You love jogging, you love singing, you love songwriting, you love watching movies, and you love traveling. Yeah? Okay. So where's the last place that you have traveled to?
Okay. As in within the UK or as in abroad?
The last long distance travel that you did. So whether it was sort of like a 3-hour drive within the UK or a train ride or a plane ride, what was the last one that you did?
Okay, the last one that I did, a place I went to, I think was Italy. Yes.
Okay.
I haven't been anywhere for the last few years, but yes. Italy.
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay. And how long did you stay there?
A few days. It was for a wedding, so just a few days.
Oh, very nice. So here's the curveball question for you. You have traveled to, I'm making this up as I go along, by the way. So you've traveled to Italy, and what you're going to do is you're going to give us a 1.5 minute synopsis of what Italy is like. And in that, you're going to make up a little song. So it's going to be a little bit of talking and a little bit of a little bit of talking and a little bit of singing about the areas that you are going to in Italy. The floor is yours.
Okay, wow, I'm really on the spot here. Okay, Italy is such a beautiful place. It's so different when you're driving. I drove. I was really brave and I drove, and it's on a different side of the road, so that's quite scary. And the roads are a lot narrower. And where we went to certain, like, I would describe it like it's a hill, and on the way up was like a spiral going upwards, and it was frightening. And with a tiny car, and the gears, manual car as well, going up the hill. Oh, it was. But the view, it was worth it at the top. It was worth it. It was, how do I say, ciao, bella. It was beautiful, very beautiful up there, And it was amazing. You just stopped and you can just appreciate the glory of God. Honestly, it was just absolutely beautiful. So, yeah, Italy's a fantastic place, nice and warm. Weather can be a bit like here, sometimes depending on which season that you go to. But yeah, I'll definitely recommend it. Yes, okay. It was beautiful. Italy is so beautiful, such a beautiful place, such a beautiful place. I don't know what else.
Che bellissimo! Riva! Oh, that was in Italian.
Oh.
Well done, well done, well done, well done. Ciao, 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 ciao. That was lovely, fantastic. It's not easy to make up a song on the spot.
No, I have a sister who can do that actually, by the way. Yes.
Yeah, no, my husband tires me out because, you can throw a sentence at him and he can just write a song. It's terrible. But that was very good, very, very good. We'll get you on TripAdvisor yet as someone to to give a review of where you've been. Mottie, thank you so very much for being on KTV today. We really enjoyed this conversation. It's been good to hear more and more about joined up thinking. And my wish and my prayer for you is that as you continue to surrender to God, that He continues to provide the resources that you need from wherever you need them to come, the human resources, the financial resources, even the thoughts of developing or expanding the program that you're doing. It's a fantastic work that you're doing. And like Nehemiah, even if, the times come when people come out, or even if the circumstances in the economy change and it looks as though it's going to be a challenge, just hold on. Like Nehemiah said, I've started a good work and I will not come down. So take that, hold on to that. God bless you as you continue to do this amazing, amazing work for the communities that you serve.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you. Thank you so much. On behalf of me and my team, thank you.
And we want to say thank you as well to those of you who have watched this episode of Key TV. Why not share it with a friend? Click the link, copy the link, and send it to a friend so that they can hear more about joined up thinking, and also know that there is an opportunity for them if they have a program, a charity, or an opportunity that they want other people to know about. Get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Key TV. info@keyinspirations.co.uk. That's our brand new email address, and a new website is coming soon. So you can listen up for that as well. So once again, thank you so much for joining us this week. As always, I want to say, stay safe. Please stay safe. And bye for now.